Testing and optimizing your image is a great way to make it look its best, both during its creation and after the sketch is considered done. However, no amount of tweaking can make up for a crappy foundation. Tweaking something that looks bad is called denial or gilding a turd. So, with that grain of salt, here's the tutorial. To start off, we'll look at two basic methods of tweaking images. The first method directly alters the layers, while the second method applies those changes in a new layer above all the rest. So I'll just show you really briefly. Let's say that I want to alter this layer right here. I go to Image Adjustments, and I'm just going to mess with curves a little bit. So I drag it around, do whatever I want, and make it something hideous. Yes, we like it. Alright, and so the changes that I just made to that layer are pretty permanent. And you don't want to have to always go through layer by layer making these changes to every single one. In the past, before I knew about adjustment layers, I would create a new layer, merge all that's visible using Alt-Control-Shift-E, and see, now this layer right here it's all merged into one. Then I would just do my normal thing. I just go to Image Adjustments, Curves, and it would apply those changes to the whole image. And I'm comfortable still doing that because it's kind of how I always did things, but adjustment layers are a wonderful thing, and so I might as well talk about them a little bit. If you want to apply changes to all of the layers underneath, go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and Curves, and that is my cat, and he is an attention whore. So the same box kind of pops up, but it's a lot smaller, and you'll see that this new layer just got made. And you can do all the same things, only now it's applied to every single layer underneath. Neat. And if you want to change it later, you just close that box, and you can reopen it by hitting this circle thing, and make further adjustments and tweaks to it as you go along. Alright, well let's get down to some actual editing, shall we? One of the first things that I look for in a picture to start testing its integrity, whether it's good or not, is the value. Value simply means what a picture looks like when it's reduced to black and white. Just take the color completely out. What does it look like? Typically speaking, if it does not look good in black and white, it won't look good in color. This is not always true, but generally speaking, it's a pretty good rule to follow. So, just to start testing things out, seeing how the picture is going, we will just create a layer here. So go to Layer, New Adjustment Layer, and Black and White. Anyway, so this picture reduced to black and white is pretty bland. It's almost as bland as this neutral gray that I have as my background color. So, let's start adjusting some things and start to bring things out. What I'm doing first off is these changes that I'm making, I'm not necessarily intending them to be permanent here. I'm mostly probing the picture in a way to try and test its integrity, see if it's worth it. Is it worth me working on from here on out, or are the problems that are in the picture so bad that I would just start over? And I can honestly tell you, just from looking at this, that I would end up painting over most of this. The problems are just that bad. It's not a terrible piece. It's not absolutely terrible, but its problems are apparent because I'm used to looking for them, basically, whatever. Anyway, the problems will start to really pop out as you adjust things dark to the extreme. So in an extremely dark setting, what looks good, what just randomly sticks out. And same thing with light. So anyway, so we have this curves layer that I just made while I was babbling. And we have this box down here, and you've seen me start to mess with it. This little box in the lower left controls darkness. And I usually mess with it first, keeping it all the way on the bottom. I just drag it back and forth all the way to the extreme darkness. And I just see what's visible when it's really, really dark. Like this thing over in the right corner. What is it? I have no idea. The strokes are really unconfident, and I don't like it. But that's just me. And I'm just making mental notes at this point, seeing what I don't like. Anyway, so we'll just adjust this. Usually I like to I like to bounce between the extreme dark, so extreme dark, boring, extreme dark, boring, and I just kind of go back and forth without even looking at the graph thing, and just kind of playing with it until it has a balance that I think is good. So now we're going to do the same thing with the light one. What does it look like all the way light? Whoosh! So dramatic. It looks like, wow, look at all the stuff going on here. Looks like I used a lot of stupid brushes. Oh well, anyway, so part of these tweaks are to see what you should change. And the adjustments that you make may not be permanent, but at least you can see more clearly on the extreme level what needs to change it and what should stay the same. And honestly, it's a good idea to test the extremes like this because you cannot control how people adjust the settings on their monitors. Some monitors will be extremely light. So if you have a problem and you say, oh well, I'll just kind of put a little band-aid over it and maybe no one will notice, well, chances are there's somebody out there that will. So you might as well just, kick it in the pants and fix the actual problem. So let's just adjust this here. Kind of a semi-overexposed thing. And now, in between these two dots, you just click anywhere in the middle and just start dragging it back and forth, and you'll see that it forms a curve. Hence the word curves. And you can create as many dots as you want. Usually just two in the middle suffices. Even just one here. So I'll just click it somewhere where I like. Test the extremes. Ooh, nasty looking. Right. It's actually even a little bit more bright than I want it. Anyway, so there it is. So here's before. Well, here's the very beginning. Tossed out color, bland as crap, and then we vamped up the contrast here. And like I said before, these adjustments are basically like band-aids. Really, they are. They're just like tiny little ways to patch up what you already have. If your foundation already sucks, like this one, it just kind of has a poor foundation. If it already sucks, it's not going to fix the picture. It may make it look a little better, but the problems are still there. Like this hideous thing in the lower right, what the heck? And these crazy circles, like, okay, whatever. I'm going to save all those criticisms for later. We're just dealing with adjustments here. Alright, so really quick, let's look at an example of using curves on a painting with color. So we're not gonna reduce it to black and white this time. So here's a painting that I did, and it also has this kind of washed out feeling to it, to me. The colors aren't punched through as good as they could be, and so let's do an adjustment on it. So layer, let's see, layer adjustment, curves. We're going to curves again, and I'm just going to show you how curves affects colors really quick. So we're going to do it just like we did before. Start taking it extreme, whoosh. And I like this. I think this picture's set up a lot better, personally. Going from dark to light, like it was really dark outside. I just use my imagination with this. So let's just bounce it back and forth until I get somewhere that I really like with the darkness here. Now let's do the same thing with light. Whoosh! Now this picture has its own problems too, like the chick doesn't even freaking have a hand. You know, you gotta be more disciplined about finishing things. No, this was just a speed paint, but still. Anyway, let's turn this up. I'm really looking at the blue up here. I really want to punch through that sense of blue that, I don't know. I look at the clouds at sunset, and I just really love how blue just kind of goes through all the clouds. They have kind of this bluish look to them sometimes. So, let's see. I don't want this looking too overexposed here. I do want it looking... Yeah. Alright. So, just messing around with things and seeing what I can do. So, alright. Did something basic. So there it is before, there it is after. There it is before, there it is after. And I actually did this before. Let's see what... That's what I changed it to before. Alright. Anyway. So, there's the difference that it can make with color.